I bet you've never seen such incredible auto repair skills. This big truck was just hauled back from the scrapyard. The front of the truck is severely deformed and the interior of the cab is heavily damaged. The steering wheel and driver's seat are all squished together. I wonder if the driver was injured at the time. For the repair shop, recovering such a truck is a guaranteed moneymaker. No matter how wrecked a car is, there's always a chance it can be fixed here. First, the mechanics begin by disassembling the truck. Then they sift through the parts to find the ones that are still usable. The heart of the truck is the diesel engine. The good news is that only the cylinder head has been slightly damaged. A little repair and it will be good to go again. Due to the severe deformation of the truck's frame, the mechanics decide to rebuild a new one from scratch. Making the frame requires high-strength channels. When dealing with deformed steel, they use a large hammer to pound and reshape it until it meets the material standards. Next, they connect the two pieces of the frame and weld them together. Then they smooth out the welds. The mechanics' kids don't go to school. They've been working at the repair shop since they were young, doing whatever they could handle. After years of exposure, they become the most skilled repairmen. Then the mechanic sprays paint on the inside of the channels. Rust prevention is critical when building the frame. To increase the strength of the frame, the mechanic stacks 2 layers of channel steel and uses a big hammer to pound them together, ensuring they are solid and firm. Of course, this installation method isn't fully secure yet. In the end, they use a jack to compress the 2 layers of channel steel, then weld them together. Next, the mechanic adds the 3rd layer of channel steel. This is where the shock-absorbing steel plates go. Constant reinforcement also increases the load-bearing capacity. They cut off any excess with a cutting gun. The 2 frame beams are now finished. They secure the 2 beams together. In the middle, they install several cross beams. This position requires the installation of a balancing shaft. The mechanic has already marked the holes for the installation. Next, they use an electric drill to make the holes. Since the steel plates are quite thick, the mechanic uses his body weight to hold the drill in place. The kids are standing by, adding water to cool it down. The process is full of ancient wisdom. Soon the mechanic completes the drilling. Then they check if the balancing shaft fits into the holes. The installation method for the crossbeams is also very unique. They use a rivet gun to heat the rivets until they glow red, then pound them into shape with a small hammer. After that, they use a rivet punch to close them. This method ensures maximum durability. Now it's time to install the front axle hanger. The installation method for the hanger is the same drilling technique. The mechanic sits on a pry bar while drilling. Next, it's time to install the engine. This engine has already been repaired at the neighboring shop. They lift the engine and place it onto the frame. For now, they temporarily secure it with wooden blocks. To install the engine, the mechanic spends a lot of money on vibration blocks. They secure the vibration blocks on both sides of the diesel engine. Since the engine is quite heavy, they use a telescoping rod for extra support. Then they secure the bottom part and install it directly. The vibration blocks are mounted to the support brackets. This position is for the fuel tank bracket. To ensure the bracket's strength, the mechanic drills holes using an electric drill. This makes the installation much sturdier. This piece looks like a brake pump. It's a model from many years ago, and the same model and parts are no longer available. Next to it is the vacuum brake canister. Since these two parts are installed together, they must be related in some way. The installation process is very simple. To improve work efficiency, 2 mechanics install at the same time. The original truck's front end is no longer usable. The mechanics spend a lot of money on a new front end. In the past, the truck would have been repaired and reused after a crash. This time, the damage to the old front end was too severe, so the mechanics gave up on repairing it. Although the new front end is from a different brand, the size is roughly the same, so it should work. At this point, the front end is lifted into place, but they find the connection shaft wasn't prepared, so the mechanics have to come up with a temporary solution. They start repairing the installation bracket for the front end. Before nightfall, they manage to sort out the connection. Then they install the bracket beneath the front end. The mechanics install the front end a little differently. Their front ends are generally mounted further back. The next day, they continue installing the shock-absorbing steel plates. This is also a purely manual installation process. They replace the front wheel steel plates with a new set. For the rear balance axle, they use a method of adding layer upon layer of steel plates. They install one plate at a time. Under such simple conditions, this is an effective method. Next, they install the horse riding card. All they need to do is align the position and hammer it into place. Then they screw in the bottom fixings. The installation process goes very smoothly, though it is a bit physically demanding. The rear axle still uses the original parts, but the installation position needs to be modified. They use a cutting gun to remove the excess steel plates. Then they install it beneath the spring plate. Next, they connect the balancing axle rods to the rear axle. This truck was originally a dual-axle 4-wheel vehicle. After the mechanics' modifications, it has become a triple-axle truck. Now they install the fuel tank. The fuel tank is secured with steel plates. This large fuel tank can probably hold over 1,000 liters of fuel. The truck's wheel hubs are also second-hand parts. Each wheel hub is a different color. This blue oil drum holds about 45 liters. The mechanic uses a regular plastic tube to add oil. He just sucks the oil through the tube and it smoothly fills the fuel tank. I'm sure many people have used this method before. Now it's time for the engine tuning. With the experienced mechanics, starting the diesel engine goes goes quite smoothly. Once they successfully start the truck, the repair is basically complete. So how many points would you give for this mechanic's repair work?